Those of you with good memories will recall that Shill Stompers was previously known as Robert Fink, and that he uploaded videos where he argued, for example, that satellites are fake. This was before his channel got taken down by YouTube and he ended up in court, where he got fined a substantial amount of money for stalking and harassment.
Ralph Rene gave one very good reason why the Soviets didn't blow the whistle on our moon landing. In the early 70s their wheat crop failed and we supplied them with wheat at well below market price.
Ralph Rene never had a good reason for anything, and simply to repeat this tired old story without any examination of what actually happened is the height of stupidity. So let's look at what actually happened. Between December 1968 and December 1972 the Apollo program sent 24 men to orbit the moon, and 12 landed on it. All came home safely. That's a period of 4 years. If the Russians knew that the USA faked it, they would have known pretty early on, as in the year 1969, and the Russians would have told everyone, sometime in that 4-year period between Apollo 8 and Apollo 17. In October of 1962 the world stood on the brink of World War III for 13 days. This was a serious Cold War. Neither side was prepared to be nice to the other. In 1972, there was an unexpected drought across Europe. Soviet mismanagement of their situation led to a catastrophic wheat crop failure. As a result of their crop failures, in June 1972, 6 months before the last Apollo flight, Apollo 17, the Soviets negotiated to purchase wheat from the USA. In July 1973, 7 months after the last Apollo flight, the Soviet Union purchased 10 million short tons of grain, mainly wheat and corn, from the United States at subsidized prices. Quote, Soviet negotiators worked out a deal to buy grain on credit, but quickly exceeded their credit limit. American negotiators did not realize that both the Soviets and the world grain market had suffered shortfalls, and thus subsidized the purchase, leading it to be dubbed the Great Grain Robbery. So, for at least 3.5 years the Soviets could have announced to the world that the Apollo missions were fake, but they did not. Why not? Why not tell the world in that 3.5 years period that the USA had lied to the world and faked the moon landing? This information was Cold War gold. It would have been a massive win for the Soviets, especially if they had the proof. Poor capitalists cannot send tiny manned craft to moon. Instead we are expected to believe that the Soviets waited for 3 years for an unexpected drought in Europe in 1972 and the failure of their wheat crop due to mismanagement, so that they could blackmail the USA into selling them wheat at a knockdown price, when they did not know that a drought and crop failures were going to happen in 1972. So why didn't the Soviets continue to use their knowledge of the fake Apollo program to blackmail the USA for whatever else they wanted over the next couple of decades? The answer is that the Soviets knew that the USA had landed on the moon 5 times by the 20th of June, 1972, and that the landings were real. The Soviets could and did track the Apollo flights, and had soft landed 2 remote-controlled rovers on the moon themselves. If the Soviets could do that, they knew the USA could land men. They had nothing to blackmail the USA with.